good afternoon, everybody. And on a special note, happy International Men's Day to everybody and to our special men on this call. And like we all know, we are having this webinar to celebrate the men in our society. And it will be a disservice to us if we do not recognize their efforts and their contributions towards our society. Thank you so much for making our time to join this session. My name is Sophia Onovo. I'm the Communications Officer for Bigs Odyssey International. So, like I said, today's session is all about men. We are here to talk about men, look at men, discuss men, and if we look at our society today, there are conversations around gender, society, leadership, how things are changing. I mean, the roles of women have changed already, and there is a level of acceptance to gender equality and equity and diversity and inclusion in our society, right? So I think it's also important to see how men are involved in these changes and evolutions that are happening in our society. Like when you train a girl child and give all the opportunities to a girl child, I mean, it's right that she grows up to also meet a man that matches her energy and learns she has learned so far while growing up. So this session today is timely and it helps us to explore the shifts that have happened in our society and how men should evolve as well and also accept the new masculinity. And if you're just joining us for the first time on our webinar series, welcome to Bigs Odyssey International webinar series. Bigs Odyssey International is an educational consultancy dedicated to providing academic and allied professional services, skills development, and advocacy. We help individuals and professionals maximize their intellectual assets and productivity. Some of our services include workshops and trainings. We help experts discover new phases of learning, topics including effective communication, professional etiquette, and career development. We also offer professional career consulting services for women, especially who are trying to make a comeback into their career space or their businesses. We also offer proofreading services, review academic papers, publications, and article. You can do well to check us out on our website www.bigsodyssey.com on all social media platforms at Bigs Odyssey. For today's session, we have a very special guest who wears so many caps, who is going to be addressing the topic for today's session. We have in our midst Dr. Yemi Adeyemi. He is a strategic communication leader, he's a relationship manager, a non technical risk manager, a storyteller, and a coach. He has over 20 years of career services and he has explored so many industries, the Nigerian banking industry and global firm, KPMG and Cadbury. And currently he is working with Nigerian LNG Limited. He is currently the manager, community relations and sustainable development officer with the responsibility of developing and managing the implementation of community relation policies, plans, strategies, and social performances to ensure that they confer favorably with best practices. Dr. Yemi, are you with us in the building?
Yes, Sophia, indeed I am.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
Good
much for
afternoon.
making out time to join us. And I must say, it is impressive to see men passionate about talking about men. I mean, days like this come and pass, and we don't even notice. And then maybe days later, we're like, oh, we actually did celebrate International Men's Day. But I think we are accepting change starting from 2025. So thank you so much for making our time to join us. And at this point, I would gracefully pass on the mic to you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Sophia, and good afternoon, everyone on the call. First is to say big thank you to Big Odyssey for putting this together. Like you said, I'm seeing that this year there are quite a number of activities around International Men's Day, unlike what we, used to have. And we are not competing with our lady, with our women, but we probably have about four International Women's Day and Mother's Day in the course of the year, and we have just one, but we are fine with it. So we will make do with what we have. And I must say that it is really an honor to be, commemorating this day with us on this call. A big shout out to all the men online, and of course all the ladies who support men. Thank you very much. Well, I think we should start by trying to answer a very simple question, or maybe so a question that looks very simple. And that question is, who is a man, really? Who is a man? If we go by the definition, looking at our dictionary and all that, one can easily say, oh, a man is an adult male, distinct from a boy, a girl, or a woman. And you'll be right. But so if it's so clear what a man is, and notice that I didn't say who, I said what, then why do we then get told, things like man up, be a man, and all that? So is this definition then really correct? Can we really just say a man is an adult human if, there's still this need to get him to really be a man sometimes? So, I mean, if that's the case, then maybe that definition is not enough, because it's just a biological definition, and you can't understand the concept of man through just the lens of biology alone. For me, I believe that depending on the context, there is also the social and the physiological lenses you must put on if you're to fully understand who a man is or what a man is. And I might be wrong, but I think I'm right. And maybe in the course of this conversation, which by the way is going to be a conversation, because I'll just use these slides to just set the tone, so that in a very short time now, I'm going to then get all of us involved. But as we go along, in case there's a question or something on your mind, just drop it in the comment section. And thank you for the emojis. They really tend to get one to know if you're communicating or not, and if people are with you, especially these days when even on video calls, a lot of cameras are off. So, like I was saying, I think the concept of who a man really is important, because if you look at our topic, it's very key for us. But before we go to that, there is a book I would like to recommend for uh, us on this call, and it's Who is a Man by Abraham Eschel. He's a Jewish philosopher, and beyond what I said earlier, that you can't look at man just from biology or from philosophy or sociology alone. He even extended it to moral and spiritual dimensions. So for him, when you read that book, he says a man is someone who is responsible. So it's just not an adult male, not just an adult male. Yeah, it must be somebody who is responsible. Is someone who looks into the world and says there is a task to be done and gets it done. Is someone who is actively concerned with the dignity of every other man, and he just sums it up by saying, look, being a man is being a moral agent. So that for him is what being a man is. It is not dominance, it is not status, it is not achievement, it is conscience. So he summed it up and said a man is a creature of responsibility, wonder, and moral courage. And for us, I think we should all ponder on it because it's so easy. People just go around and brandy that word, I'm a man. Is a man's word. Truly, are you sure it is? You know? And as we go on, in the course of this conversation, we'll explore that further. But let me say that this year's theme, the evolving role of men in a changing world, just tells us that a lot is changing, right? So, what are those things? Let's look at the landscape. What is changing? There are a lot of challenges men face today. They are also faced with a lot of choices. Then, of course, we'll explore what their contributions are currently and what they should be, continue to be. And this, conversation couldn't have been more timely because we need to face the facts. The world is rapidly changing. And being a man today comes with a different kind of software update, one that a lot of us don't even know where to procure or how to, even deploy and how to keep consistently running. So it isn't what it used to be. Being a man isn't what it used to be. We are expected to be strong, yet sensitive, uh, ambitious, yeah, but yet we still need to be kind of emphatic and traditional. Yet you need to be progressive. Bottom line, the world is changing, and we just have to change along with it, else we'll get left behind. I think I would like to, I mean, when Sophia was talking about my was sharing my profile, she also called me a storyteller. I love stories because analogies help to drive points home. And so once upon a time, you remember that men, especially our fathers, used to be the ones to provide, stay home, the way our mothers will stay home, take care of the children and all that. But the truth is, today that is changing. You can't just say you're a man anymore because of how loud your voice is or how much you bring home, or there are a lot of things now that you just have to look at. And if you look at things around diversity, equity and inclusion and all those things, those are also concepts that are changing everything from how we lead at work to even how you love at home. So unlike before, where the woman has to just leave your dream with you, now the woman also has her own dreams. She has her own career, and you guys just need to find it. In fact, economically, it's tough for a man to just carry it all alone. So when you look at all those kind of changes within the landscape and also all those developments in those areas, you're going to ask yourself, really, what's happening? What's happening to that traditional role of man? And across the world today, we've got a lot of women also doing great things, operating at the highest level. There's Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala at the WTO, and they're doing very well there. We all know our history. We have different people in, I'm trying to remember this other lady's name, Aminat Mohammed, I think. She's also there representing us. There is Sahel Work Ziwede, who is from, Ethiopia's first female president. Maybe one day we'll have a first female president in Nigeria too. I mean, some years back we had, I think her name was Etiaba, Virgil Etiaba, if I'm correct, who was the more or less, she acted as a governor. So she was seen as the first lady to be governor. But we are just going to continue to see all those changes. So areas that were predominantly male, zones are no longer those male zones again. So what does this all mean for the man? It means this era is a turning point. And because it's a turning point, it is obvious that the world has changed. And if men don't change with it, if we refuse to change with it, we'll get left behind. So when you now look at all these changes, of course, they bring certain pressures, certain challenges, and we need to explore a few of these, right? Because it is relevant to the conversation we are having. Quite a few of them, as you can see on the slide. One is identity crisis. I mean, before your Lord and Master, man was Lord and Master during the time of our fathers and all that. You come home, you determine the schools the kids will go, you determine what car the family will drive. Sometimes you even determine what's going to be for dinner, you know. But these days, those things have changed and are changing. Let me say, are changing. So you have what you can call identity crisis, where most men are asking themselves, "Am I still the head of this family? Am I still? What's my worth? You know, I'm no longer the sole provider. Is even possible your wife has a better paying job, and you're asking yourself, what's happening?" So it's not uncommon. And for any man on the call this afternoon who is going through this, just breathe in and smile. Maybe by the time we're done with this conversation, we might be able to, share a few ideas that you find useful. Then, of course, there is also the issue around family relationships. We do know right now that globally it appears as if, yeah, the divorce rate is high. Families are getting broken because of different things, and again, that also has something to do then with this pressure we're talking about, because it also comes back from all these things that we're saying are changing. Because before, a lot of our mothers stayed in those marriages because they just couldn't leave. You've got 4 or 5 children, you're a primary school teacher, the father is maybe a big businessman or a senior public servant. He holds all the cards, and so a lot of them stayed back. But today, ladies don't have to stay back if the man is not doing what he ought to do. So you see, there's a lot of pressure from there too. Then of course there's the emotional, repression, what I can call emotional repression, where we are told as men to man up. Men don't open up, men don't cry, you don't share. What all that does is that you just like a pressure cooker waiting to explode. And a lot of men are, kind of dying in silence. So you have a situation where, and I think if you go online and just check, you see that there are a lot of research that has been done, and I'm not talking of just in Nigeria or Africa. I'm talking of global research that shows that men are 3 times more likely to die by suicide than women. And we all know why. We all know why. It's because men are less likely to seek help due to social norms. We're told not to express ourselves, So it's all, and it's not just a statistic. This is not just a statistic. It's a wake-up call. We need to, as men, and of course the ladies too, need to also support. We need to let men be themselves. Let them also open up. But let's talk more about what these challenges are. And then of course you've got the economy. You've got like I think I already talked about that, where it's no longer just men doing certain jobs. We have female pilots now, we have female astronauts, and also then social expectations, and this again is how men are expected to behave. You have to be assertive, but yet then we don't expect you to be domineering. We expect you to be decisive, and at the same time you need to be humble. I mean, it's like being told to drive very fast, yet you've got to put your foot on the brake. I don't know how easy that would be, But let me share a story with you. A father once said to his daughter, his teenage daughter, he said, "Look, I never heard my father tell me the words, 'I love you,' but I know he did." Do you know what his daughter's response was? She said, "Dad, I need to hear it." So in today's world, let's normalize it to tell our sons, our daughters, as fathers, let's tell them, "I love you." It doesn't make you less of a man when you use that word. And so when you then look at all these challenges which we've discussed, the question then is, what choices then do men have in this new world? You know, we've painted this scenario where things have changed. What must men do? And what choices are available to them? Quite a few, quite a number. you have to choose vulnerability over vanity. And what does that mean? It means you've got to have the courage to say, look, I don't know this thing, or I don't know how to deal with it, or I need help. It doesn't make you less of a man if you do that. And we've all got to promote that. We've got to tell our boys as we grooming them. We've got to also let our ladies know, because again, sometimes that pressure comes from the other sex, where they just say, look, why are you behaving like a woman? Why are you not a man? You know. And then of course we've got to choose partnerships over patriarchy. I talked about how your woman, she has dreams too. She has aspirations. So we need to understand that even given the way the world is evolving and all that, strong families and societies have to be built on partnerships, not on, dominance. You can't just, that thinking of, look, the man has to be in charge, he has to rule, lord and master, is no longer relevant. So you have to look at partnerships. You have to look at how do you complement, the woman in your life, and vice versa. So it's very important. And that's also important even at work, not just at home. Because if your mindset is cast in that mode where you see women as maybe inferior to men or something, you're not going to think partnership with your female colleague. You're going to think of, oh, I should be in charge, or I should, or you lord it over if you're the supervisor. So we need to help ourselves to grow into that mindset. Then, of course, growth over guilt. And why is this important? It's important because when you are in a growing mindset, when you're looking at growth, you are most likely to be more confident. You're going to thrive in the pool of other talents. You will not be competing. I am trying to look at the best way to really get this across. I'm not saying there's healthy competition, but there's also unhealthy competition. So if you have a growth mindset, things like, inclusion, and when I talk inclusion, I'm not even just talking of it based on gender. I'm talking of it across the spectrum, across tribes, across races, across religion, and all those things will come naturally to you. Then, of course, another choice you have is to choose. You have to be a mentor over, being a mirror. So you must understand that you have a role to play in developing the next generation of leaders. Our sons must see that men who are emotionally intelligent, they must see a man who is respectful of women, a man who is a responsible citizen. And I'll tell you another short story. So I used to have this boss. I had this boss some years back who said to me one day, look, he got to a street light. He got to a traffic light one day, and he had his keys in the car. So it was just about to change from, how it goes from green to amber, then goes to red. So it was on green, so he was rushing, and then he saw that he just went to amber, but because he was already trying to get across and, just go. eh, by the time he went across the line, it had changed to red. And he said his son, who was in the backseat, said to him after a few, minutes, was just driving, said, "Daddy, I thought you said red means stop." So he knew where he was going, and he just had to own up and say, "Oh, son, yes, daddy was wrong there. I anticipated that it would still be on amber and it turned to red. It wasn't the right thing for me to do." Because, the young generation see what we do. We think to say it's just all we say, but it's not. It is also what we do. So they like to see that, and they would. So it's better we role model it. So serve as a model, mentor, rather than just be an ordinary mirror where you just say, "Look at me." And then, of course, when we then we've looked at the, challenges of men. We've looked at the choices they have. We must also look at the contributions that men have made over the years, and also what is needed going into the future you know, because that is the good news. What are we already contributing that we need to take up? And that way we can then, of course, have quality, better quality life and all that as men. One is that we have to continue to serve as allies for change. Well, I know this could be a bit, will I say, is debatable, but the truth is, men have been leading initiatives and promoting education, you know, for everyone, including girls, combating gender-based violence and supporting mental health. For instance, if you look at the group E for She in Nigeria, is a group that does that, and we need to continue to be, part of those kind of groups. Stand to End Rape is another group that I know of that is where male champions kind of they are redefining masculinity. They're really promoting that mindset of empathy in action, where you say no means no and all that stuff. So we've men have been allies for change for a very long time, and we must continue to be that. And then of course we must also be leaders in innovation. We must show leadership and innovation. So whatever space we find ourselves in, we must continue to demonstrate leadership. We must continue to, innovate, look for fresh ways, fresh ideas that can get things along. And then, of course, community and care. Men men tend to, I mean, I can meet up with a few friends and we have, tomorrow, today is Wednesday. I say, okay, let's meet up. It's middle of the week. And we spend 2 hours in the evening and we just have drinks and gist about football, gist about politics and everything. And we might not check and really know how we're doing individually. I don't know if that's the case with other men on the call, but it's something I've noticed, and men need to demonstrate more care. You must ensure that that community, when you meet each other and all, you can't just limit it to just discussing things out there. I mean, it's good that takes your mind off stress, but you need to use that to also check up on each other. You need to care about one another. How you doing, man? Are you really fine? Is important. And also know that, in today's world, like I said earlier, there is what you call role fluidity. So roles are very fluid. We must learn to, cook. We must teach our boys how to cook. We must, ensure that we join PTA meetings is all important. Then, of course, stewards of the planet. I mean, if you look at the world as it is today, and if we must sustain it for the generations that are going to come after us, that means then that we have to make a deliberate choice to really conserve it. And so men have a big role to play there, because naturally it comes to women. Women are more of, nurturers. It comes naturally to them. We must, learn that quality from them. It's very important. So, you know, given that we've looked at all these things, the challenges, the choices, and of course the contributions available to men, the question then is, where do we go? Where do we go from here? Really, what's the pathway to ensuring that every young boy out there that is being developed into a man, every man out there that is coping with one thing or the other, are able to find a pathway towards what I'll call happiness, you know, happiness. And again, I'll tell you why this is important, there's this, because things are changing and they mean different things to different people, but the effort that goes into staying happy kind of all it's constant. It's going to come from within, and that's why that pathway is very important, for us as men. If you look at how things have evolved, especially with the advent of uh, social media and everything, you see that there's a lot of pressure everywhere. There's quite a lot of pressure, and I'm not talking of just uh, on the job, in people's personal lives. So the question then is, if we are going to find that pathway to happiness, both for boys, for men, and we are not excluding the ladies here, but the focus of today is it's really men. Then what needs to be done? We need to consciously ensure that at home we are available. We raise children that are emotionally available because fathers are available. And it's important because society, as you know, is made up of the constituent units, individual homes, they make up the society. So that change we're looking for in that society, where we're saying, look, what's the pathway to a better society and all that, must start from the home. When you then get it, then we'll translate it, into other areas. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I would like us to then say, look, if we must find that pathway, then we have to redefine for ourselves what being a man really is. And I would just like to share with you this. I love boxing, unlike a lot of men out there who love to watch football. I only watch football when I stumble on maybe the fact that Nigeria is playing match. I support no club in the Premier League. I have no apologies, but I love boxing. I once had the dream of being a boxer myself, but it didn't work out. So, and this young man is someone, if you love boxing, is someone you should watch out for. His name is Abdullah Mason. He's fought since he went pro. He's had 19 fights. He has lost none. 17 of those fights he won by knockouts. He's probably about 21 or thereabouts. And in a few days, I think on the 22nd of November, he's going to be fighting to, where he's bidding for the WBO lightweight title. So, and this is a guy I believe might end up being the, world title holder for in the heavyweight division, very soon. But the thing is, when you now look at someone like him, you say, that's what a lot of people see. This is a man. They see the strength, they see, everything he's doing and all that. And in our mind, we think that is really who a man is. But the thing is, we have to redefine who a man is. We have to redefine it because things are changing. You no longer can define a man by what he controls, but by what he contributes. You can no longer say a man is one who never fails, because the truth is, we all fail. It's just that when we fail, how do we rise up from that failure responsibly? And that is where, as a man, you must pitch your tent. Then, of course, that thing of men don't talk, men don't speak out, we are not built into silence. Silence is not built into men. We need to also, we just the same way we demonstrate and give it, we want to also feel it. We want people to empathize with us. And so we must learn to also empathize with one another. So we must show empathy, we must show courage and integrity, And if I take us back to the gentleman, whose book I shared with you earlier, he says that a man is a being whose task is to be responsible. And it is very important on that, and try and use that in push for growth. And also, like I said earlier, we need to connect more, choose mentorship, partnership, fatherhood, brotherhood that is really caring, not just in name, but in action. And we must lead and show, by example. So back to our topic, really, which is where we started from. The evolving role of men in a changing world, challenges, choices, and contributions. I think it is very clear that yes, the world is changing. A lot of things out there are not the way they used to be. Technology, social changes, just so many that we probably, if you want to try to keep track, you're going to become very busy. So, as a man, where do you go from there? What do you need to do? The first thing is you must embrace that change. When people talk about, maintaining the status quo and everything, you discover that men, we are those that are very rigid. We're very rigid. Men, we tend to be very rigid. And somebody, and this is not to, in any way make fun of ladies, but someone was sharing with me recently, say, look, if you want to start a church, form a new political party, do a rally, or even you want to drive change in in the workplace, the first set of champions usually you will get are women. It is when women have gotten in there that men, because men tend to be more rigid. That's how we've been programmed. And we need, like I said, remember I told us earlier that there's a new software update that we need to go and get as men and run, because the world is changing. And so if you don't embrace that change, if you continue resisting it, then you're just going to get left behind, or you're going to be crushed. So we have to redefine what leadership means. And I'm not saying relinquish leadership in your home or your workplace or wherever it is that you're the leader there. Yes, feel good with yourself as a man, you're a leader, but redefine what leadership is. Leadership is not where you oppress people. It's not about, lording it over people. It's about, getting them to participate. And I'm sure if we go into that area, there's a whole lot of materials you can read up on leadership styles, but we must ensure that as, men, we redefine what leadership means at home, at work, everywhere. Then, of course, like we have to just inspire the next generation. We don't have a choice. We can't intimidate them. That's era where, as men, once we hear the sound of our father's cars, we take off. That era is gone. Today, you want to open the door, you want to have your children run to you. As a boss in the office, you want your staff to open up to you, to talk to you, to share their issues so you can help them find solutions and all, not to fear you. No, so you're not to intimidate them, you have to inspire them. The truth is, being a man today isn't about, no more, is not about holding power anymore. It is about how wisely you use whatever power you have. It's not about being perfect, it's about being present. So we have to be men who listen more, who love better, who lead with compassion, because in this changing world we have today, something that will always remain timeless is how you make people feel. And it's important that as men, we have to give people, let them take away the right feeling, let them go away when they encounter you. Let them live with some, even where you've had to be tough, you can be firm with people without being wicked or anything. Same for your children. And I would like us, because I really want us to have some conversation around this. But I would like to end this, by sharing just one last story with you. Someone, another father again, was asked what he intends to leave for his children. And he said, look, I don't have money, at least not a lot of it. So it won't be money. I will be leaving them memories, and I will live as a man that they can always be proud of. And that, more than anything, is the evolving role of men today in this society. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to me. Happy International Men's Day.
Thank you so much, Dr. Yemi. That was so insightful. I mean, I picked a lot of things, not just one or two, a lot of things. And I'm sure other listeners as well did pick a lot of things from this session. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Like I earlier dropped in the chats, if you have questions during the course of his speech, you can drop it in the chat box. You can also raise your hand if you want to speak, contribute, or inspire us more. I think we have some minutes with us that we can share. So I have a question here from Ogenetega. Her question says, how should men deal with the male ego stuff, even when it's destructive? And how should women go about this part of men? Is this male ego a natural thing or learned from society? Dr. M, you can help us.
Thank you, Tega. The truth is that ego is programmed. We're programmed both consciously and subconsciously to behave in certain ways and see things in and see some things in certain ways. So, for instance, and that's why you discover that when you look at even the way that thing you call ego, how people even respond to it is influenced by a lot of factors. That's why how you know it's not natural. So some people will tell you, and this is uh, not trying to stereotype people. They'll tell you there is a certain way in which an Igbo man or a Yoruba man will respond to some things. So why is it? Why is he responding to those things in certain way? And maybe somebody who is from, say, let's say Madagascar is not behaving in that way. Is because growing up, don't forget that we are both nature and nurture. So growing up, the nurture part, the nature part is what we explained as the biological, explanation of man, where okay, yes, these futures that I have, so I'm a man. But the nurture part are all those things that they then trust on you, they program you with. So when you don't let a man or your young boy cook, he has he's the first son. He's got two sisters right after him, and then they are the ones always cooking, doing the washing. You're subconsciously programming him to say, "Look, you don't do this." So imagine the day he gets married or something, and his wife says, "Oh, sorry, dear, I'm running late. Help me just make spaghetti for the kids or something." His ego, comes into play. So how should women, what should men do about it? You need to be conscious of your fault lines, your biases, those things you've been programmed to see as normal. You need to step back and be conscious of them. And then when you're conscious of them, you can make a deliberate effort, to then deal with them. Then the second part is, how should women deal with it? Again, is to study. A lot of people today, when they're dating, are just interested in going on the dates, eating shawarma and ice cream, going clubbing. You don't, a lot of them don't ask the tough questions. They don't observe how does he behave in certain, to how does he respond to certain things. How does he, how does he treat the other women in his life, his sisters, his colleagues at work, and all those things, and so that you also can prepare the adequate or the appropriate response to that part of him. And where okay, point it out, call it out, tell him how you think he's doing. And men, we also need to be humble enough to also get some feedback and use it. Thank you. I hope that answers that question.
Okay, I think she reacted. So thank you so much, sir. We have one more question. I can see a hand up, but okay, Victoria, you can go ahead and ask your question. Then we visit what we have in the chat box. You can speak now, Victoria.
Hi, good day, everyone.
Good day.
Um, Thank you for the opportunity to be here. Really enlightening. My question is, Dr. Yemi, you mentioned women um speaking up to um question the men on areas where they feel they need to develop. Um, how do we help men heal from traumas that we can't relate to? That's my question, because I feel some of the reasons there is a gap in communication between both genders is because some of these men tend to carry traumas that they are yet to um, highlight and heal from, and they go about their lives carrying this trauma.
Interesting, interesting. Thank you very much for that, Victoria. I think the first thing is one. I do agree with you that it's difficult to understand. Most times it's difficult to understand what one has not gone through by oneself. So sometimes the kind of traumas or baggage a man might be carrying is something a woman can't relate with, maybe because she hasn't gone through it. So you can sympathize, but it might be difficult to empathize because empathy requires you to kind of put yourself in that person's shoes. So, but sympathy itself is also good enough if you really, even if where you can't get to the empathy side. But I also think one thing that is important is there might be, if the subject of the trauma has not accepted that there is this experience that somehow shaped them or affected them in one way or the other, it might be difficult for you to then help them deal with it. They must first be receptive to whatever solution is out there, by acknowledging that there is a challenge there before then being, yeah, any other thing can go in. So in that instance, I think it all starts from listening. Women should listen to men more. And I didn't say women should hear men, because you can hear without understanding and all that. And that's what a lot of men have complained of. Just the same way women also complain about men not listening. Listening means that you are actively engaging the person. You're not just trying to sometimes it's just about just hearing them out. You might not have a solution, and so that is one step. The other is also trying to help them get help, even if you don't know how to help them deal with it. Are there other men, models, role models, father, uncle, or someone that you can get them to reach out to, who can support them? So I think those are just a few things. And then if all that fails, sometimes, especially in the issue of trauma, they might need to get professional help. So that's also something one could encourage them to get. I mean, a lot of children in Africa are walking around with trauma. We don't go to therapy and all that. So it's really something that's also affecting the quality of relationships we have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Victoria, I hope that answered your question. Um, we have a question from Stephen Adeniran. He said, men generally have a lower life expectancy than women and face particular challenges in preventive health care. What are the ways out?
Okay, thank you, Stephen. Well, I know I'm not a doctor, but I don't think that the reason for men having a lower life, and I've seen those things too, where the life expectancy of men is usually lower. I don't think it's because of the challenges in preventive healthcare. I think it's because one, men engage more in dangerous things, in their quest to, I'm a man, I must be the sole provider, I must meet my needs. We tend to engage in things that can kill us faster. And then, of course, men again tend to, women, once something is wrong, they talk amongst themselves, talk to their sisters, they have a whole network. I just talked about men meeting for drinks, and you can be together for 2 hours, 3 times a week, and yet nobody even bothers to say, how are you doing? How are you really doing emotionally and all that? We just, brother Abeg Alpha, open this bottle. That's all we just look at, and we need to improve that. So it's about men not taking enough care about, not caring enough about themselves. And I'm not saying that loosely. I'm saying really real care. So the ways out are some of the things we discussed earlier. Men need to be conscious of the fact that, look, you should be a partner, right? Not a patriarch. And you need to also, take care of your health, mental health, physical health, and all that. You need to do it. You need to eat healthy, use your drugs if you're on drugs and all that. And, hopefully we'll see the numbers going up as more and more attention gets given to, to these things. I hope that that also helps, but that's just my personal opinion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So do have a few minutes before we run out of time. I can see one hand up, Ugochukwu. You can speak, but let's try to keep it short. Thank you. Ugochukwu, can you hear me?
Maybe the person is not.
Yeah, maybe
Maybe they are
he's
supporting.
not on the call. Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Yemi, for that insightful session. I must say we basically touched every aspect of what has to do with men. I mean, okay, Gochku is back. I
Yeah,
mean,
sorry. Yeah,
okay,
sorry,
you
I lost
can
my
go.
connection.
You can go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Yemi, for your wonderful presentation. Actually, when you posted on the platform, I saw it as an opportunity to log in and tap from your wealth of knowledge and experience. And honestly speaking, I was not disappointed. So my question is very straightforward and simple. If you look at the our society today, women have become increasingly confrontational and nagging towards men. So, and oftentimes it leads to an undesirable outcome when we want to deal with such situations. So, I want to seek your expertise advice on how can men better handle those kind of situations in our society today. Talking about confrontational women, nagging women, and women who always look down on men. Yeah, that's the principle.
Thank you, Go. Caveats first. I'm not a relationship expert. Okay, I can claim to be a comms expert, and I think that's where a lot of the problem is. You see that thing you just described. It's not new. It's just that it's coming to the fore more because of the what you can call power shift. So before, where most of the professions were male dominated and all that, the women had to kind of more or less lean on the men to survive, because especially once you've entered a marriage, it's either a woman is under her father, or by the time she marries, the husband is there. But now women have what it takes to they make their own money, they are okay and all that. So you're gonna see that there's a lot more, their capacity to take nonsense has gone, down, because now we are more and more women are also realizing that, look, I'm equal to this man. He has a brain, I have a brain. Whatever it is he can do, I can do. I can make my own money. So, and that's where communication needs to come in. Those things we see, and I'm not, I mean, because situations are different, but you see those things around, oh, nagging and this, it means there is a challenge in the relationship. And the question is, what can be done? Once there's a challenge in that relationship, how can it be fixed? You know, communication needs to be improved. There must be a partnership mindset on both sides. And then where things are still very bad, there must be the willingness to seek help. And that help could be counseling, either from your people in church, from the imam at the mosque, or anywhere, but must seek help. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I think the meeting is about to end. So I want to especially appreciate everyone who has made out time to join us on this call. Thank you so much for celebrating men with us.